months ago, almost a year to the day, I felt sick, terribly sick, pain running through my body. My right foot was hurting so much that I couldn't even look at it, touch it. It was throbbing. Had no idea what it was. I was limping. I went to the doctor, the VA clinic, and what they did, they just physically looked at me and said, "You're fine, take these pills and go home." The pain was so intense through the night that the medication that they gave me didn't even do anything for me. And right around 6 o'clock in the morning, my helper come in, and I asked him, "You've got to rush me to the hospital. There's something terribly wrong with my body." And he almost had to physically carry me to the car and then into an emergency room. Anyway, they found out that by the test they gave me that I had pneumonia, and my foot, in the next 3 or 4 days that I was in the hospital, they said that you're going to have surgery on your foot. You got an infection. The doctor comes in and tells me, "We're going to have surgery on you immediately, and because the infection almost touched the bone, if it did, we might have to cut your leg off below the knee." And of course, the faith that I had developed through the last 3 or 4 years was very, I was very close to God, so it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me that he said that, because I knew I had a God that would totally restore me at some level or another. I had some good praying people in my life, and so it didn't bother me. I didn't listen to what the doctor had to say. I just held on to my belief in whom I had believed, and that was Jesus Christ. But the day that I went into the hospital, I went in there and I prayed with my doctor that was fixing to do surgery, and I didn't worry about it. I didn't think about it. I just went through the surgery and I come out, and I still had my foot. They had cleaned it up, and still a few days later they inspected my condition on my foot, and then again my foot wasn't getting well. He said, "We're going to have to go in there again." And again, my mind was not in any way concerned or worried about losing anything. I know that it sounds kind of crazy, maybe to some of you, but I did not worry a thing. I didn't worry about my bills. I didn't worry about my foot. I just knew in my heart that I had believed in somebody that could heal me. So I went through another surgery, but I walked out of the hospital 21 days later, even at 2 surgeries on my foot and then 1 surgery on my left lung. I think one of the greatest and most fascinating miracles in my life has not only been my foot, my lung, physically healing through medication and modern medicine and prayers and God touching my life, but one of the greatest miracles, I believe, is the transformation of my life from a drug-addicted person that would take anybody's drugs or anything and use them. Everything else around my life has been changed. My physical body has been healed. My mind, my heart has been restored. I have peace and joy in my life continually. That's why I'm still standing here today. I give him all the glory and honor. Thank you, Jesus.
I was diagnosed in 2004 with lymphoma. When I first found out, it was actually pretty devastating. I actually passed out when I found out. You know, I was cold, I was sick. I couldn't get rid of my cold, and so when I found out, you know, the first thing, I guess, I passed out. I was familiar with cancer and treatment, so when they told me I had cancer, it was just overwhelming. My sister had been diagnosed with breast cancer like 5 years before here, so I kind of knew when they said what I had that it wasn't a good thing. The doctor had said it was like I had 60-40 chance of survival. I think the first thing I was thinking was, if I don't make it, what about my kids? You know, who's going to take care of them? And of course, you know, we don't ever want to think about not being there for our families. So I think that was probably the hardest thing, is to get a grip of. I had 2 kids in high school, and I knew I had to make it. I mean, I just knew that I had to be there. It's just kind of amazing. God is just so good, because the first chemo treatment I had, the next morning I woke up and they were already shrinking, my tumors were. And I knew right then that God was going to take care of me. I went through 7 or 8 months of treatment, which was, it wasn't that bad. I mean, you know, some people talk about treatment and it's horrible, but mine wasn't. It was like God just took control. I had a support group that was incredible. I mean, there wasn't a day go by that I didn't have a card, a phone call, or something. So it was like God just provided His army, and it was just amazing. There was lots of things I'd went through during this time. Thoughts, emotions, questions, things you just don't get an answer to overnight. And I battled several different things, and God again came through. I would be sleeping, and there were things I'd wrestle with, and I couldn't sleep. And it was like He was saying, Paula, just get up and do what I'm asking you. You know, and I'd fight it, and I'd fight it, and eventually I would do what I was told, and it was like I'd have the sweetest sleep, you know. There was times I'd worry, and songs would just flood my soul. Church songs, of course, because this is where I was, and there was hymns and praise and worship songs that would come to my mind. So anytime I was worried or nervous or scared, it was like I would wake up and these things were just playing in my head, and it was like that was God's way of calming me. And it still happens to this day. It's like I only worry so long, and then it's like God just intervenes. He's just been there for me. I feel Him there all the time, and it's like I know that anything I go through, He's with me. And I actually only ended up doing 5 months of chemo, and they didn't want to give me any more because I had, you know, done so well, and of course, I know why. But I give God the glory for that, not the medication. It was June 24th, 2004 that I was cancer-free. I knew after the first chemo I was going to be healed, and I know it was through God that I was healed. He is my healer.